In addition to his words, there were his works. In addition to his declarations, there were his deeds. Jesus not only says things that no one else says, Jesus does things that no one else can do, because Jesus is someone who no one else is. Here are his miracles. John chapter 10, verses 36 through 39. And this is right after he declares himself to be God. And he does so openly, publicly, emphatically. Let me just revisit this point for a moment. On numerous occasions, Jesus said he was God. And on every occasion, they sought to put him to death. Because what he was saying was that he was over religious and political authority. And by declaring himself to be God, he was a threat to the religious and political authorities of his day, so they conspired together in an unholy alliance to destroy him through crucifixion. But he kept saying it. Now, I don't know about you. If I mistakenly said something and it was going to cause me harm, I would correct myself. Right? And he doesn't. He never recants, all the way to the point of being crucified. He continues to testify that which is true, that he alone is God. And what he says is, in addition to what I say, look at what I do. We read this in John 10. Why then do you accuse me of blasphemy? Blasphemy is someone claiming to be God. Jesus claims to be God. Because I said I am God's son. He is the Son of God. That's a declaration of his divinity. Do not believe me unless I do what my Father does. But if I do it, even though you do not believe me, believe the miracles, supernatural acts of God, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I in the Father. Again, they tried to seize him, but he escaped their grasp. Jesus Christ is creator. As a result, he supersedes and overrides creation. This is astonishing. This past year, the entire globe was trying to control things happening in creation. I don't know if you heard of this thing called COVID. It was kind of a thing this last year. I don't know if you heard of it, but if you had heard of it, what happened is that something that was a virus started to infect human beings and take human life. And so what did we do? We made every effort to try and control creation. And so ultimately, we shut down the earth. I didn't know you could do that. We shut down the earth. We shuttered economies. We told people to stay at home. Here's a mask. Here's a vaccine. Here's a tape measure. That's not quite 6 feet. Scoot back. The Pharisees had a real heyday this last year. They were into the details. And all of a sudden, if you ask why, people would say, well, because creation is defeating us and we need to defeat creation. Now, let me say, wouldn't it be great if we could just speak and creation would obey us? Wouldn't that be awesome? Like right now, if I could do that, it wouldn't be 117 degrees. I would just say 75. That's what I would say, right? And some of you are new and you're like, it feels hot. Well, it's because it's hot. Okay, like, do you get used to it? No. I mean, it's like if you moved into a pizza oven, there'd never be a day you're like, oh, I feel chilly. That's just not going to happen. Right? It's a dry heat. So's hell. This is an internship. You need Jesus. If you don't like this, you need Jesus, because otherwise, when you go to hell, these will be the good old days when it was chilly, okay? Well, wouldn't it be great if creation would obey you? Wouldn't that be great? How many of you? You would make it rain once in a while. You'd make your pet obey you. You would heal sickness. What Jesus does is he overrides creation because he has authority as creator. So there's a storm, and what he says is cease, and it ceases because it recognized the voice that spoke it into existence. Therefore, it obeys that same authority when it commands it to cease. Jesus causes people who are blind to see. He causes the deaf to hear. He causes the lame to leap with praise to God. He even raises folks from the dead. He goes for a walk on the water. He takes a little boy's lunch and feeds a stadium filled with people. He does what only God can do. And what he says is, if I'm not God, then explain to me how I have this incredible supernatural paranormal power. Explain to me how I do things that only God can do. And let me tell you this, Jesus is still alive and Jesus is still doing the supernatural. There are people in this room that God has healed. There are people in this room that God has revealed himself to in supernatural ways. There are people in this room that God has supernaturally provided for and delivered. This is my own story. Faith really began in my family when God healed my mother, physically healed my mother. And she started telling us about this God who has all authority and has authority to even heal. And so I just want you to know that this Jesus, he still does miracles. I want you to know that his power is still available to his people. And I want you to know that as we look into the future and we have fear, our faith is in the one who has authority over everything that we see and everything that we don't see. And what Jesus says is, hear what I say and see what I do, and then see if there is any potential other conclusion other than I am God exactly as I say.